So, on this topic of careers, Michael, any advice for someone that's looking to get into instructional design?
Yeah, it's funny. This week, a friend of mine had asked me that, and we were talking, and I told him, I'll give you like the top three that I gave him, and there's other ones, but I said, first of all, I think you should start to learn a little bit about data analytics for course design. And it could be as, starting with Excel would be the best way to start. Excel and with a gear toward learning analytics and and analyzing data. And he said to me, well, why would instructional designer, how does that fit in? And I told him, and I truly believe this. I said, if you if you become an instructional designer that has a little bit of data analytics in your wheelhouse, in your skill set, then you're going to start thinking about creating courses. You're going to have a lot of different questions when you start to build, which is great. You're going to be that group of instructional designers that before they start building anything, they start asking, what are the goals of this course? What are the learners going to experience? How do I measure this? Can I evaluate the effectiveness of this course before I even start building it? That's why learning analytics has a lot, it's really important to do because it can change your mind in terms of what you're building. Because a lot of instructional designers, they just build things, courses and programs, and the evaluation and the analytics sort of come afterward. And I told him, be the kind of be the kind of instructional designer who's thinking about evaluating what they build from the very day they start. And that's really important. So I would also say adaptive learning. I told him adaptive learning, gain some expertise in designing personalized learning experience that can adjust to learners' abilities and needs and progress. I mean, that's coming really quickly. And I think the more you could wrap your head around, I build things based on a learning experience, the better off you'll be. And I told him, you should really look into studying user experience design. There's a lot that goes into how things look and how they act. A lot of times I was telling him in academia, we don't always put a lot of emphasis on UX because the course doesn't necessarily always need to make money. There's no money attachment to it. So people build things and that's what they are. So sometimes people build great things. I'm not saying that there's not great uh, online courses and things built in academia, but the money thing isn't driving it. And I just told him that to say, there are other places where how it looks and feels and how you interact it is really important. It could be the difference between it launching or not launching or you having to redo it. So there's a very big demand for um, assets or experiences that function well, look good, are easy to use. And if you're going to be in academic instructional design, you should definitely bring that in. The more of us that can create better and better learning experiences, the better. So those are the three that I kind of told him should be at the top of your list. Learn a little bit about data analytics toward learning design, then think about adaptive learning and how you could learn more about that, and then be a bit more, learn a little bit about UX, UI. I think that'll really set you up well for a career in instructional design.
Yeah, I love the interdisciplinary approach of having those elements of the technical abilities, like we mentioned earlier, of
Mhm.
Excel, data analytics, but then also looping in that human element of psychology and
Mhm.
I guess just discretion. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, now
absolutely.
that you mention that, definitely, we could talk about a couple more. Those are the top three. But as you say, learning science, understanding how people learn, what are the cognitive loads that are put on people when they engage with learning experiences. Like you should definitely know a bit about that. Gamification would be great to know. How can you turn things into a more enjoyable gamified experience? What are the components of games that could be fit into Instructional design, definitely. Storytelling,
Yep.
everybody likes a good story in their presentation or in explaining things. So the more you could learn how to incorporate storytelling into instructional design, the better. So, and definitely communication skills, the ability to be able to work with the subject matter expert, to work with faculty, to understand learner needs, to get the feedback that you want and need. Communication skills are big. So there's a lot of different components,
Yep.
but those top three,
I
I
guess
think, yeah,
you just listed out the core tenets of being successful in any career.
exactly. Communication skills are at the top, aren't they? It,
Yep.